Hi, welcome to Sugar Free. I was going to stay away, but I do enjoy doing these readings. So here's a little reading. I don't predict the future. What I do in these readings is employ my mind to have a little peek around the back. A little peek around the back. So, usually when we want to have a peek around the back, it's because there's some person or group or entity that is in our way, basically, or not behaving as we wish them to. And we want to find out why. And we want to work out what is the best thing to do. So I'm going to pull 3 of these major arcana of the ancient Italian tarot that I'm just giving a last little shuffle to. The first one is going to be things as they appear at the moment. Things as you see them. The second one is what's going on under the surface. And the third one is the potential. Not what's going to happen, but what I'm going to shuffle those off camera because I can see. I never want to see what I know isn't going to be there because that influences how I read what is there. Yeah, the potential. That's what the third one is. So let's pull 3 major arcana here. Okay, we've got death in the reverse. We've got the lovers in the reverse, someone refusing to take a choice. That's why things aren't changing or appear not to be changing. Ooh, let's move that over there. And the outcome, well, there you go. I just gave the game away. The Empress. Everything left to grow from this. There is everything left to grow. But at the moment, the death card is very interesting. Most readers interpret it as an ending or the beginning of something new, which is one and the same, really. It also has the sense of inevitability about it. The major arcana is the Oracle of Change, and some changes are simply inevitable because their time has come. The time has not yet come with this, or at least that's how it seems at the moment. Let's start pulling on this. Here I've got the minor arcana of the Rider-Waite split into its suits. I've shuffled everything. I believe these are the pentacles, so let's find out. Yes, they are. Okay, I'm not taking reversals in this minor arcana section. 7 of Pentacles. So yeah, something, the time has not yet come, but it's been a long time in the coming. And when we're in a situation where we feel blocked or, I don't think there's the verb to be obstacled, but something is putting obstacles in our way in terms of what we want and what we think should happen. Sometimes when we're in a situation like that, it can really feel like it's always been like that. And I'm really getting this off this. It's not turgid energy, but it's a sense of nothing having ever been otherwise than this. What shall I do now? I'm going to move on with this column because that's a horrid place to just leave it hanging. I mean, obviously, I will complete it with these minor arcana, but I'm not moving on to this yet. I'll come on to this because this is very complex. The Lovers in reverse. So Wands, Queen of Wands. Yeah, it feels like there is some sort of higher power in charge of things that is keeping it blocked. There's an active maintenance of the blockage. It's not just chance, or it feels like it's not just chance that this is blocked. There's an individual here, possibly a female energy, that is keeping this blocked in your view. This column is things as you see them. So there's a target, okay? There's a target for the frustration of this death in the reverse and the Seven of Pentacles, just waiting for this thing to kind of, for that one little twig in the dam to move. All it takes is one tiny little twig in the dam to move, and the whole lot can go. And in your view at the moment, there is one specific individual who is responsible for that twig not shifting. So have a think about who that is. And I mean, you know, maybe that person might trigger certain things in you. And that's why you see it as them. Okay, another queen, Queen of Swords. I'm just riffing on this. You fear what this person knows. You are implicated in this, obviously. I mean, you know, everything that happens to us, we're implicated in it. It's our karma. We've made it happen in some way or another. But there's something in here that you are worried about being known and being stated and coming up for examination. So perhaps it's you that's really blocking things. And there's a projection onto the Queen of Wands. Something is feared here. I'm getting a really austere, steely feeling of the Queen of Swords in this column, in this reading. Let's carry on. What's happening in the cups? So yeah, we've got resources, passion, thought and speech. And here we've got love. What's happening here? Wow. You feel like love has gone from this. You feel like there is no love here. It's bleak. The key to this is linking these two queens. How the matter that you are concerned about coming out, basically, and being exposed for scrutiny is linked to the person you have projected your frustration onto. But it feels very loveless here, this situation, very loveless. I mean, the most love in this column is in the Queen of Wands, because when we realize who we're projecting onto, the only sensible thing left to do is to forgive them and release them from that projection. Right, I'm going to move on now to the Lovers in the reverse. This is what we don't see. This is what's going on around the back, okay? I mean, the Lovers is about choosing. It's about choosing. It's not necessarily about committing, but it's very sort of 2 and 3 of Wands sort of energy. It's about choosing to go in a particular direction. We've got a young man here who's trying to choose between his mum and his girlfriend. But the heart wants what the heart wants, and we see that in that little cherub there, which exists in Vedic lore as Kama. Just like simple desire, the power of desire. But here this card is in the reverse. So there's a choice that hasn't been made, or there's a desire that is not speaking. Yeah, 2 of Pentacles. Something's in play here. The plates are spinning. The wheel is spinning. This is like minor arcana, Wheel of Fortune. The wheel is spinning and we do not know where it's going to land. And it's not time for it to land at this point. So However we see this, and that's the information we've been given, information in inverted commas, for want of a better word, in this first column here, is time sensitive. I was going to say time release or time capsule. It's as we see things at the moment. But the energy underpinning this is that the situation is still in play, if I can put it that way. Not for long, no, by the looks of things. Some, you know, sooner or later, when the wheel is spinning, like inertia is going to bring it to a close, and then we're going to see which way it's pointing. And we're going to see that. And it's going to point in a very, very clear direction. And I cannot help saying this, but it is not on the shoulders of this Queen of Wands. It's not. This is where it's at, dear viewer, dear listener. This something that you want to keep hidden because there's a fear of this, disclosure. And it's creating this rejection of the heart here in the Eight of Cups. It is gonna come out. It's gonna come out. Flipping heck. And I mean, there's the wand. She's holding it. And there it is. I've got the feeling the wand is, you're seeing the wand on the wrong side. I think your whole view could change on this. But anyway, I'm not doing divination, so I will keep going. But there is going to be clarity in this. When these two pentacles come down, when this spinning is over, because there is inertia and there's the strength of the plate spinner, it can only be kept spinning for so long, and it's going to come down very clearly in one direction or the other, in one position or another. Flipping heck, another royal, King of Swords, and there's going to be no doubt. No doubt. What's going on? The underpinning energy to this anxious inertia here in the first column, the underpinning energy of it is completely flippant unequivocal. King of Cups. Oh my God. All right, 4 royals out already. The heart knows it's going to be this way or that way energy that we've got here in the Lovers in reverse, here in the Two of Pentacles. Is going to go boom, boom, boom. And it involves the heart in a really, the heart is going to be the authority. The heart is the authority in this, and you cannot argue with it. King of Swords, you cannot argue with it. And it involves, as I say, acknowledging what's going on with this Queen of Swords and how the blame basically for this inertia is being placed on the Queen of Wands. We only project onto those who represent something that either we wish we were and fear we are not, or fear we are and wish we were not. Those are the only 2 types of people we ever project onto. We project onto those who we see behaving in ways that we desire to behave ourselves, or we project onto those who behave in ways that we look at and we think, good God, I hope I don't behave like that. And I mean, I've certainly experienced this looking at people and what they do and what they say, and often people I know quite well, and just thinking, can they not see? I'm just going to get my water. Can they not see how like dreadful this is? Can they not see how dreadful it is? How have they got so far into life without seeing, without knowing how shit this behavior is? And you think to yourself, well, I've certainly thought to myself, oh my God, maybe I'm doing things that are just appalling that I haven't noticed. Let's just see what's at the bottom there. Temperance. Yeah, well, that's keeping it open on both sides, isn't it? Temperance. Again, it's linking back to this. Yeah, wondering about oneself. Yeah, well, are there things that I'm doing that everybody else is thinking, Jesus Christ, how can they be doing that? And not see it, but one doesn't see it. Perhaps that's what's also in the Queen of Swords here. I'm just going to take a little slug of my water. Hold on. So yeah, the heart is going to be the authority on this. There's no doubt on it. It's going to come down clearly on one side or the other. This is very temporary, but for the time being, it's up in the air for the time being. Let's move on to the Empress here. The fecund one. What can come from this? This is the potential. Wow, that's nice. Ace of Pentacles. Whatever this is here in this situation, in this first and second column, has massive potential, but it's a slow burner. As slow as the seeds we plant here, or the ark, sleeping under the winter soil here in the Empress. And, when the soil reaches a certain temperature, they sprout. They sprout, but it takes time. But the sprouting is real. It's absolutely real. And a whole new season can kick off with this. But it's not something that happens overnight. But for that lack of speed, we have power here in the Ace of Pentacles. It's wonderful, wonderful. The growth here so far is from acknowledging this, what's happening in the Queen of Swords. Because when we're angry with someone else or frustrated with someone else, the best place to look for what's really going on is within ourselves, to see what we are blocking in ourselves. Because if we're not blocking anything in ourselves, we've got no flipping problem with anybody else's actions. Knight of Wands. Well, things can change very well. I said it's a slow burner, and here we've got this incredibly like fanfare. Here I am, sort of energy. Interesting. Bit of a contrast, isn't it? I mean, people say about the Ace of Pentacles being the slowest energy in the tarot, but I'm not convinced of that, because new stuff can happen on the turn of a sixpence. In a breath, something new can happen, some tiny little decision taken in one like nano moment can change the whole course of your life. And perhaps that's what the Knight of Wands is there to remind us. because this slow warming energy of the Ace of Pentacles here. Okay, the soil warms, it warms, it warms, and then there's some rain, then it's a little bit cold, and then it warms up again, a little bit more rain, just bit by bit by bit. And then there comes this cracking open of the seed. There comes the first, even before that, what's in the seed has swollen. And there is this imperceptible tipping point. And once that tipping point of growth, and once that tipping point is reached, there's no going back. You can't go back. It doesn't mean that everything's going to come to fruition, but there's no going back on that tipping point where growth begins, fertilization, if you like. How very empressarian. I just made that up. Dear, oh dear. Well, listen, we got the Nine of Swords. I'm not flipping surprised when we got the Queen in a kind of covering up demeanor here, or certainly we're worried about something that's covered up. Excuse me. And we've got the King that cannot and must not equivocate. That sword, I mean, here in the Queen of Swords, there's still room for maneuver, and we see that in her posture. She's welcoming us forward to state our case. There's still open possibility in this. But once we get to the King of Swords, the die is cast, and that sword is coming down one side or the other, and his word is final, and his word rests with his cousin, the King of Cups. This is all about love. So there's clearly something quite serious at stake here. I mean, why else would one recruit a queen to keep something quiet and then blame her cousin? Interesting. So yeah, worry here. So far, this is the only thing that can hold this back. I mean, the Nine of Swords, okay, worry all you like, but this growth is coming. We've got Major Arcana Empress here, Ace of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. This is active. It moves, and it's going to move and go in the direction it's going to go in, whatever you do. I would say here with the Nine of Swords is that how we view a situation, whether we feel enthusiastic or unenthusiastic, whether we feel confident or whether we lack confidence in a particular, and clearly there's like, there's angst here. The very angst we feel can affect the outcome. And we tend to think that by anxiously thinking about all the things, all the ways it could pan out, all the things that could go wrong. What if this? What if that? This is the what if torture, self-torture card. And we have this idea that if we can cover all the bases, like some sort of emotional insurance policy, we've got everything covered. If this happens, then that. But if that happens, then that. Mind you, that could happen, then that. And oh, what if this happens, then that? Oh, but then if this happens, then that, then that, then that happens, and then that. And we go on these like mad, like networks, internal flipping webs of imaginary causes and effects. And the very doing of that can have, I think, frankly, a deleterious, mildly destructive effect on the outcome. So I'm just going to come out and say it. Try and stay out of this if you can. But it's clearly a factor in the potential. There's the potential here for huge, for significant angst. and worry about what is said and what is not said. And undue, how would I call it? Undue inner attention paid to the possible consequences of this or that. And in a way, the worry that we do, this like insurance policy that we kind of ridiculously construct for ourselves, and we try to cover all the bases of imaginary cause and effect, it is in a way like supremely egoic. It's very egoic, because it's like saying that if we can cover all the bases and see all the possible angles and all the possible outcomes, then we can control the situation, and we're in control. That's the aim of anxiety, is to regain what appears to be lost control. And, you know, that might be the case if we were the only ones who were running our lives, but we're not. We're not. Because as soon as we step out of our door or interact in any way, we're in a co-creation. And we're usually in that in our minds anyway. Let's see what's happening in the cups. 6 of Cups. Okay. Innocence. This is really, really innocent. Try to remember, you know, when we realize that what we're really worried about is sort of being exposed and being abandoned, essentially, and being vulnerable and looking like a powerless, impotent little kid, a little child sitting on the curb with its feet in the gutter, crying. You know, when we really like see that that's what's really, and I'm not decrying that and I'm not belittling it, but if we can acknowledge that what we really fear is being exposed as a twit, okay, to use an English word, you know, a bit of a jerk, basically, or another English word, another lovely Anglo-Saxon word, a wally, W-A-L-L-Y, a wally, just a bit of an idiot, basically. That's what's at the root of this emotionally. You know, whatever this is that is kind of hidden in the Queen of Swords and projected onto the Queen of Wands, this seeming blockage in something moving forward in the way that we want it to. When we acknowledge that what's really going on there is the fear that we're going to be exposed for just being like a little twit, basically. When we acknowledge that, we can start owning the situation in a new way. You know, if we acknowledge that the real fear we have is how shit it will feel when we find out again that we are not the fucking center of the universe. Once we acknowledge that, we can let go of this 9 of Swords and all this beautiful energy. You know, these plates can come down on one side or the other. The sword comes down on one side or the other. The heart is ruling this matter, and it's going to be absolutely clear. And we know all fucking ready. Sorry, the Ace of Wands here. We know already what the score is here. The key to unlocking this and unlocking this fear and releasing this kind of dark romance here with the Queen of Swords, and like, as I say, roping her cousin in as the main kind of protagonist of this. As soon as we acknowledge that what we're really worried about is just being a twit, then we can let go of that entire dynamic, and all this energy gets released. Absolutely lovely. So there we go. That's your reading. That's it. I mean, it's never nice acknowledging that we're afraid of being a twit, but it's better to acknowledge that you're afraid of being a twit than ending up being one because you were too afraid to acknowledge that you feared being one. Right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.